destruction. Lord, forcing a man looking for shelter from the sinful ways. Such sound illusion. Lost in their illusions, were their minds full of confusion, seeking a solution for the headed to destruction. Lord, Lord, trapped in their illusions, were their minds full of confusion, seeking for solution, man, they headed to destruction. Let me tell you, like they like the wax that is spent at the foot of fire. They like the chaff that is drifted by the wind. These are the children who run astray. Lord, 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 so they couldn't seem to find their way back home. So they trapped along, so they lost in their illusion, were their heads full of confusion, they're seeking a solution, man, they headed to destruction. Trapped in their illusion, were their minds full of confusion, they're seeking a solution, but they headed, man, they headed to destruction. Whoa, oh yeah, there are the seas that are cast up on stony places, drifting in their thoughts, seeking rest and finding none. Oh, their eyes shall see, for their minds shall not understand it. Founded in their ways, signs and wonders they seek from a God in the sky.
All right. Yes, folks, that is where I want to say a special and pleasant greetings to all of you locked into that space at this time. It is 5 minutes past 6 o'clock in Dominica and our Eastern Caribbean. Welcome on board to the Civic Vibes program on the social media platform. It is streamed via Facebook and also on YouTube Live. You can also check us out on Twitter as well. Thank you for all of you who already tuned in. The numbers to call into the program later, they are 245-2396 or 615-9470. These numbers will be plugged into the live feed so that you can participate if needs be. We have a very, very interesting, a very educative, a very formative program right here this evening for you. And so please, as I ask right now on behalf of the Civic Vibes team, just make yourself feel very, very comfortable as we're about to start this educational 2-hour program indeed. Of course, we'll mix it up with a few musical entertainment, but the gist of the conversation is about just how we can prevent ourselves from having future fraudulent elections in Dominica. That is general elections, that is. So this evening's topic, it is dubbed Your Vote, Your Voice, Your Future. I am adding here. So thank you very much. We have two special guests who we're expecting to be here with us this afternoon. This evening, we sort of turned it up a bit in that ordinarily sometimes we have men, women, men only on our program. But we chose this afternoon to have a full female panel indeed. And so you're going to be hearing in just a while from none other than a very, very outspoken Miss Adelaide Paul from the north of Dominica, precisely living out there somewhere. And so you'll be hearing from her. Adelaide is no stranger to Civic Vibes, no stranger to us in Dominica. Whenever she speaks, we have to listen indeed. And accompanying her this afternoon is another sister, another patriotic sister from the north indeed, in the name of Gloria Mac Lawrence. I call these two sisters our fellow fighters on the ground as it pertains to our liberation in Dominica. So yes, these two erudite sisters, you're going to hear from them in just a bit. But before I do so, in terms of having them introduce themselves, let me move across to Alvin Thomas, who is always there each and every time, so that he could give you guys his opening remark. Alvin, good evening to you.
Yes, good evening, Lofty. Good to see you again. Another Sunday evening for another what I could consider a very enlightening and engaging conversation. Um, you intimidated me, and you tell me that there are two women there tonight. I got to be on my P's and Q's, I don't mess with women, I'm married to one. So I know how they can deliver. So I'm not even sure whether I might just have to take my leave and let you handle that yourself. Huh?
I will need some backup so you can stay.
You need some help.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Let me just say welcome to both Addie and Gloria, and it's really a pleasure to be here this evening with you guys and to have a really good conversation. Yes, we're going to have a very enlightening conversation, as it relates to the elections and how that impacts us as a people. Your vote, your future. And I too am excited and looking forward to hear from Addie and Gloria, two very outspoken individuals who cares about their country. And I think everyone on the listening tonight and those who will later on listen to the broadcast, this is not about partisan politics. A lot of time people like to mix up the issue. Oh, you're against this party and you're against this one and you're against this one. We are talking about an issue as it affects the citizens of Dominica. And I think we all have an obligation to lend our conversation, lend our voice in a situation where we feel that requires speaking about. So I'm happy. I look forward to engaging in the conversation, and I'm sure we will have a very enlightening discussion as we go along this evening.
Yes, indeed. Alvin, thank you very much indeed, my brother, for your opening remarks here. I think inadvertently, that is, I forgot to mention the date of today. So today being Sunday, January 19th, 2025, that is the date today. And so, yes, we welcome each and every one of you. It's already 11 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Let me move across without much more delay and say a hi and hello to Miss Adelaide Paul. She was there already, and so no stranger to Civic Vibes. Adelaide, better known as Addie. Good evening to you, my sister, and how are you?
Good evening, Lofty, and I am very well, thank you. And good evening to Mr. Alvin Thomas and Gloria and all of Dominica and the entire world who is connected to this live stream right now. A special good evening to everyone. And thank you for joining us. And we're here today, and I'm grateful for Lofty requesting my presence on his show once again. Um, Hopefully, as the topic is for today, your vote, your voice, and your future. Your vote, your voice, and your future. This show today hopefully will be a session of very deep introspection for mainly our brothers and sisters at home in Dominica. Incidentally, and maybe ironically, as we speak currently, we have democracy in motion, live and direct in the United States as one president
says goodbye to his term in office, and we welcome another president for his 4-year term in office. And just the way that democracy works, and it speaks whether we support or we don't support, we go through that process once every 4 years over here. And there is a change in governance, hopefully for the better. Sometimes it's for the worse, but as citizens, we get the opportunity to fix it through our vote, through our voice, for a better future, for not just for us, but for our children and our children to come. And so we want to continue on this, I guess, thought process of having the same process in our beautiful island, Dominica, where we can have that vote, your voice, and your future, and hope to see a day when we can say, let's see a change of governance for the better or for the worse, but giving us that choice to choose fairly, honestly, and equitably who we feel that we want to make those decisions for us to have a better future for us and for our children. So hopefully tonight we can cover that in all the different topics that we go over here tonight. So welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adi. So excellently done indeed in terms of your opening remarks. But Adi, just before we go to Sister Glow, I will call her for the rest of the program. Adi, this program is so versatile in nature in that once we are live on social media, there are many persons who may be tuning in for the first time. Just a brief introduction of just who is Adelaide Paul.
Well, lofty Adelaide Paul. Gosh, I'm from the town of Portsmouth, born Dominican, very proudly. I make no qualms about it. I grew up in a household where my parents were very, very politically, should I say, politically educated, and they, I think, with growing up as children, one of the things our parents, even today I was speaking about daddy and the things that he, God rest his soul, he did was get us involved in the political process very early on. And so I grew up in a household where I heard conversations about, the roles of government. I went to the Portsmouth St. John's School. I went to the Portsmouth Secondary School where civics was, one of the subjects that was taught. And as children, we understood the role of governance. And I moved on to the sixth form college. I did 1 year over there. I taught at the St. John's School for 4.5 years. Then I migrated to the States to go to college. Attended the University of Central Florida in Orlando. I did my bachelor's and my master's, my MBA over at UCF. And then later on, I left Florida. I had my son, and Kyle moved back to Dominica, spent about, how long? I think about a year in Dominica. And then I moved back to the US, and then I've been in New York, moved to the state of New York, and city of New York, from since I think 2001. Moved there right around 9/11. Over the years, I've been very involved in other Dominican issues. I served as the president of the New York Portsmouth rebuilding committee, where we rebuilt the roof of actually we built the Catholic Church. What am I saying, the roof? We rebuilt the entire Catholic Church. I served as president for about 7 years with a group of other strong-minded, conscious Dominicans, mainly from the north. And we were able to work really hard to rebuild the church. We were engaged in a lot of civic activities to raise funds for the church. From there, I kind of got actively involved in the Dominican political, I guess, process when I attended one of the diaspora meetings. I think that was back in 2013. And I sat at the meeting, and I kind of, like I said, wanted to ask a few questions. And the meeting was kind of like a show. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're not taking any questions. And I started kind of paying more attention to what was happening at home. And I did not like the trajectory of what I saw. So I got very actively involved. I'm in New York. We had a lot of other civic organizations. I think 3 times I called for protest action for what was happening in Dominica, sorry, and other Dominicans like myself who was very concerned about Dominica also joined those protests over here in New York. So we had protest actions 3 times in New York City. I Overall, in terms of my profession, I have been in education for a long time. I'm also an entrepreneur, and that is something that I love dearly. So I'm very multifaceted. I was activist, entrepreneur, educator, and I guess I'm a mom. I wear many hats. So this is Adelaide Paul in a nutshell.
You wear many hats, and thank you tonight. Yeah, you're wearing one of those indeed. And as you said that in terms of you being politically educated from young, from your mom and dad, then we've seen the fruits of that today. In that when you speak, we can hear that wisdom coming through.
Thank you.
So thank you to your mom and dad indeed.
Thank you, mommy and daddy.
Yes, indeed. A number of people already are hitting you up on the live feed. Yakima McCoy and Carla Guy and all others are there with you as you continue to trot on here with us. All right. Thank you. All right. Let us move now to the other young lady, I should say. Sister Gloria, can you unmute your mic, please, and just give us your opening remark and introduction about just who is Gloria Mac Lawrence from the North as well.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight. This is my first time being on your show, Lofty. And
welcome to Civic Vibes in a very, very big way. And thank you.
Yeah, and thanks to Adi for pulling me into this. Adi knows me well. Quite a few people know me. I am from Portsmouth as well. I also taught a short stint at the second primary school of Adi, St. John's, and then moved on to the Portsmouth Secondary School for another short time before I left to go to the UK. And then from there, I went on to sailing on mega yachts for quite a few years, and doing what I love best, traveling, meeting people, learning different cultures, exploring the world. That's my thing. So I did that for a number of years before quitting and going to the US, where I met Adi again. And this time I went to study interior design. And Adi and I have been friends for many, many years, childhood to now. And we always have discussions about everything. I'm also an entrepreneur in my own way. And I love that. I come from a family of business and sailing. My mother was the business person and my dad into selling. And I took a bit of both. I love business with a passion. And one of the things for me is the interaction with people. I absolutely love humans and I love to make them laugh. So Adi will tell you, I can also be a bit of a comedian. If you are in a conversation with me and you do not laugh, something's wrong with Gloria. And I'm nervous as I speak. So I think I'm hearing my voice going, and I think it's time to say, let's go on with the show and I will participate more. Please bear with me, Adi. She was a little worried about me this morning. I've been having a flu for the last couple of weeks. It's not leaving me, and it's every so often as I speak, I start to cough, but bear with me.
All right, we will take
thank
that
you
into
guys for
consideration.
being with us. We all know what Adio gave a long intro into what the show is about already. That's something we do every day. Basically, Adi and I have conversations almost every day, and it's always about home and its well-being. It's not just politics, it's the well-being of Dominica and Dominicans. And we're so passionate about that island, and you can't get wrong to being passionate about Dominica. And I love to you. I know you do your thing as well. I follow you every so often. And also Mr. Thomas. So I appreciate being here with you guys. I'll interact as much as I possibly can. And everybody knows Adi's the more chatty one than I am. So I am the writer and Adi's the one that goes with the vocals. So good night, everyone, and welcome.
Good night as well. And so, yes, we will be expecting some laughter from you as well. Gloria Mac Lawrence, Sister Glo, better known as, thank you very, very, very much indeed. All of you on the live feed at this time, it's a pleasure to have you on board with us as we move into the conversation in earnesty indeed. Alvin Thomas, let me just have you in terms of, setting the foundation, as it were, with our two guests here.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lofty, and thank you again to Addie and Gloria. Yes, Gloria and I have spoken briefly a couple times. And yes, she is someone that can have a very interesting conversation with. And of course, Addie and I go back a little while now. So it's really a pleasure to have both of them. But let me, in terms of the topic that we are discussing, and to put it in some sort of context, let me, I want to start off with a quote by Albert Einstein. We all know Albert Einstein being this famous inventor and several other titles that he carried. And he said in one of his quotes, "The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it." The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. And that was by Albert Einstein. And I'm saying so to say, within the context of the conversation we are having, if we are of the view that the votes that the people cast during an election is not done in a transparent, in a fair, and a free manner, which in our view is an evil act, then what do us who see the evil act in that process do about it? And that is why I think tonight's discussion hopefully will be quite engaging. And most times we're discussing issues of that nature, vote, elections, and the process as it's unfold right now in Dominica as it relates to the electoral reform. I refer to a report of the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice report. And in that report, the justices spoke very eloquently in terms of just what we're going to discuss here this evening: your vote, your future, and all of that. And I have always urged those of us and those on our feed tonight who may not have had an opportunity to lay their hand on a copy of that report, and Dominicans listening, they must read the report. They must find a copy of that report and just read through it. But let me just refer to two quick sections of that report in order to set the stage for the conversation. Under section 74 of their report, section 74, there's reference to electors list in free and fair elections. That's the caption. Electoral list in free and fair election. And at section 74, they kind of go into the Constitution, the core of who we as a people, the Constitution, and they said there briefly, core constitutive preamble of values in the Dominica Constitution includes fundamental human rights, freedom of expression of persons and institutions, the inalienable rights, equal dignity, dignity of the person, representative democracy, and the creation and maintenance of a lawfully constituted authority. And they go on and on and on and relate that to the vote. So they made that connection there. But interestingly, though, in that same report, when it deals with the question of the electors list, and I'll tell you in a while I'm starting on that premise, when they deal with the electoral list issue, at section 81 of the report, it says, electoral lists are central to legitimate and lawful elections. Electoral lists are central to legitimate and lawful elections. So they're saying, for an election to be legitimate and lawful, your electoral list is a key component of that. And that electoral list relates to your vote and your future, which I'm sure Adi and Gloria will speak more eloquently to. And they went on to say that Section 80 of the report, because in a submission that was presented back in 2019, when there were issues with the elections, in terms of the list, the vote, and all of that, a petition was filed, as we all know, and the petition was thrown out by the judge, the sitting judge, Justice Glasgow, and that was what that prompted this matter to reach the CCJs. And the CCJ felt at the time, hey, this matter was thrown out. It has not been presented to us in the form of an appeal. However, given the significance of this matter, the importance of it, we must at least find out what was going on. And they said there, this is what one of the justices wrote. Because in those situations, you'll have one justice writing on behalf of the justices. And here's what Justice Saunders said. He said, some of the allegations raised by the appellants are serious and, if true, would be troubling. He's referring there to the electors list and all stuff that would raise. Periodic elections that are free, fair, are the lifeblood of a country's democracy. Every effort must be made by a state scrupulously to adhere to the legislative provision governing election, and in particular to those that relate to the integrity of the list of electors. Now, let me also refer to one piece of document, and then I'll invite Gloria and Adi to make some comments. There's also another report that came out in 2019, August of 2019. And that was a report compiled by it was a joint report from CARICOM, the Commonwealth, and the OAS Special Mission to Dominica. The Commonwealth, the OAS, and the CARICOM. And in that report, they too make reference to the list and how important that list is to a fair, free, and transparent elections. The two last elections that were held in Dominica, the one just in 2022 and the one prior to that, in 2019, I think it was, the electors list that was used for that election had an electors list of almost 75,000 people on that list. The list that the electoral office used for purposes of the elections officially had 74,800 and something persons registered, almost 75,000 on the list.
74,879.
That's right, on the list. Now, remember what I just quoted the CCJ saying and what the CARICOM Joint Report is saying. Now, we all know in 2019 and 2022, the population of Dominica was nowhere close to 74,000. But let's say for argument's sake, it was 70,000. You're talking about a list that had well over 5,000 persons on that list. Understand, our democracy is first past the post. So one vote can make a win or a loss. We saw that happen in, where was it that Thompson went? And when they come the first round, when they came the second round, they said he lost by 5 votes. So just imagine in your own mind what is likely to happen with a list that is 74,000, almost 75,000, more than a population, and that is the list you're going to use to conduct an election. Let me just give a quick comparison, and then I will stop there.
You had to quote from that report, then to switch that report, the tripartite report. Who is the report? Just give us that quote, and then we can,
Yeah, and I just want to make some quick comparisons, and let me Let me I had a quick quote there. Let me see.
OAS, CARICOM, and
Yes,
that report.
yes. They said there that let's get it. While I'm looking for that, I'll come to that in a minute. But let me just for the purposes of the listeners, let me just make a quick. I'll get that quote in a minute. But let me make a quick reference here. Antigua had their general election. The last general election was held on the 18th of January, 2023. Antigua population at that time was shown as 93,763. 93,763. The electors list was 60,916. Almost what you'd say 30 or so, 30-something thousand difference, thereabout. Grenada, last election was held in June of 2022. Their population at the time was 124,610. Their electors list was 87,506 as Grenada. St. Lucia had their last election in July of 2021. Their population at the time was 179,651. The electors list was 174,270. Still below their population. And not too recently, you had both the Prime Minister of Grenada and the Prime Minister of St. Lucia coming to Dominica and talking to Dominicans about their elections and what governance and all that should look like. And their population or their electors list is way below their population. In Dominica's case, our electors list is almost 75,000, way above the population of Dominica.
All right, so Alvin, I am thinking here the question to Adi and Gloria is the importance of the electors list or elections in Dominica.
Absolutely.
All right,
and that is tied in with the vote.
Yes.
We can't talk about vote if we don't talk about the list.
Yes, Adi, you want to take that? The importance of the electors list to our elections in Dominica.
Okay, thank you, Lofty. Thank you, Alvin. Lots of statistics, lots of figures, and figures are important because we need to, figures are facts, and we can't run away from facts. And it is sad that we are having this discussion at this time. It's sad that we're having this discussion at this time because we have seen so many elections pass and happen without all of these measures put in place. And so when we're talking about, let's just start there. We can't even really tell in Dominica how many people are really there because we hear about census after census after census, and we still have not gotten the results of a census. So not even on that level we can say, let's go to an election because we know exactly how many people are on island. But when you have an electors list that have more people than the actual people that they claim live in the island. This is insane. Basic common sense for anybody. Basic common sense will tell you that this is something that should never happen. It should not, we should have never even gotten it to that point. Lofty, Alvin mentioned the other islands, and I like giving real world examples when I talk because I want people to really get what we're saying. I was speaking to my last sister lives in Antigua. And we were having a conversation last week. And I can't remember what the conversation was about. And she said to me, oh my gosh, I just renewed my voter card, you know. I said, really? She said, yeah, I sent it in 2 weeks and I got it. And that, they were not even talking about, I guess they have elections probably will be coming up soon. But that was something that she voluntarily knew that she had to do. Her voter identification card, she sent it in for renewal. Dominicans don't even have a voter registration card, much less to have that responsibility to have it, to have a renewal, to send it in for renewal. And that is the kind of stuff that we're talking about, because I go back to the whole idea of voting and the voters list. It is so critical. Voting is such an important issue, because it is someone's vote that determines how they live. Your vote determines how you live. And I repeat one more time, your vote determines how you live. Every decision that you make, every decision you make for your children, every decision you make to advance yourself, to try to give yourself a better life, is determined on that vote that you cast. That is why it is important that in democracies, we know that there should be one vote per person. That is what our system of democracy is based on. There is no way that one person should be casting 4, 5 votes. And not only that, they're casting the vote in this place that where they should be represented. The area of Queens I live, if I move to another, even to another address in Queens, I have to submit documentation to state what my residence is. And every time there is an election, something comes to my home giving me access to the polling station that is closest to me. And that is how voting is. So when we have a voting list that is so big, so wide, people coming from all different areas and voting. We don't have voter ID cards. They can come in and give a name, and I experienced it. Give a name, and maybe people know, well, this is Adelaide Paul. This is the daughter of Ma Morrison. She has a sister who lives there. Her father was so and so. She has another sister there, and they can probably vouch for who I am. If they give me a name and I go to Grand Four to vote, and I give that name, and as long as that name is on that vote, nobody's gonna tell me you can vote, because that is the system we have. Hence the reason we need a better system, a system where when people make those decisions to improve their lives through their vote, it will be counted fairly. And we will not have all these things that are going to come to jeopardize the decision that we want to make for our children. And going back to what Alvin said, yes, it is very imperative. It is imperative that that voter list is totally cleansed, totally redone. Total re-registration has to happen to account for the people who are really there, who, when they make those decisions for who they want to lead them, their lives will be affected or not affected.
True. Thank you very much, Adi. Sister Glow, I just want you now to chime in on the very same question that Adi answered, that Thomas opened up with. The importance of that, holy grail, I call it, that list. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say is, it's funny that we have a world boss who is afraid of cleansing the voters. You're the world boss. Everybody loves you. Everybody wants you. You're what they need in this country. Yet you find it difficult to just do the right thing and make sure who's voting is really legit, a legit voter here in Dominica. You want to go all the way to foreign to bring back Dominicans to vote for you? What happened to us? We live here. We are here. We're not living anywhere else. We do everything here. We pay taxes here. Everything that is done in Dominica, it happens to us here. And you don't want to make sure that we have what a vote gives us. Another thing is our voice. You want to tell us what to do. You want to tell us when to do it. Because we see how you run your show. We see how you do things. You have all these ministers under you, but it's always your voice we hear. It's always you. But we have a voice too. And we see what happens when you try to speak here. If you go to protest, they're ready to shoot you down because you're raising your voices against what you see that is unfair and unjust and not true. But you are the world boss and you don't want us to have a voice. And that's what a vote also gives you, is a voice. You can speak. Like me, maybe my voice comes through my writing better, but it still is a voice. I can speak. I can see the garbage outside my window and I can say, pick it up. I can drive around the island with tourists because I'm also a tour guide. And I mean, for the last 3 days, of 2024, I had guests from Guadeloupe. And every time we stopped to take a photo, you're excited showing them around, and you're not realizing that they're also paying attention to all of the garbage you're seeing. And one of the ladies said one time, "Oh, just stand there because that's part of the decor for Dominica." And I felt so embarrassed. 2 Sundays ago, I came out, just left my home, just going down Bay Street, and some visitors from Holland asked me, "Excuse me, where can we put our garbage?" And I said, "Oh, well, there's a dump on the other side. It's not too." And then the lady goes to me, "Because I don't want to do this." And she points to a heap of garbage. And I'm like, "Oh my God, why me on a Sunday morning?" And I have this thing that I always speak. I write on Facebook, Sunday Soul Search. Sunday Soul Search, where you think about things that are happening around you and you speak about them. You do a soul search. If we're such a Christian community, we would understand what a vote does for us. It gives us the standing ground of truth. You can stand on the sacred ground of truth when you go to vote, because you know you're going to vote and make a decision that affects everybody's life, not just yours. And so that is what a vote does to you. It gives you a voice. It makes you independent. It makes you be able to go the other way when everybody's going this way. And you can do it boldly, so because you're convinced, you're convicted, you stand with truth. And you know, hey, I don't like what, the last Parav and I, we went to school together, for example. And I always tell him and his mom and everybody who knows me, and they know me well, just because we're partners doesn't mean I have to agree with you. Adi and I are so different. We have heated discussions and we don't always agree. Does that mean I don't love her or she doesn't love me? No. But we know to tell each other, "Hey, Gloria, you know what?" And she will hit me hard. And I'll say, "All right, maybe you're too uptight, Adi. Chill out." But that is what a vote was, is what love for country, passion for country. When you vote, it is showing that you really love your country. You're coming out there to say, "I want better. This has not been working. Let me try that." And another thing that I like to say is, I don't do party. I'm sorry, I do Dominica. I tell people that I do Dominica because when you start getting into the color codes and stuff like that, you get to be swayed easily. But if you stay true to who you are and to Dominica, you are able to make better decisions, and your vote helps you to do that. Because you're not making a vote for a friend. You're making a vote for the betterment of your country and your people. So a vote gives you a voice. It gives you some kind of strength that makes you be able to stand.
True.
It lets you be able to stand. It makes you go the other way when everybody's going one way. Even though you know where they go is not the right way. You're not seeing the changes. You cannot stay in secret crying about stuff and not taking action. So people always say, "Oh, well, if not this, what? If not who else?" Well, what a vote can let you do is, I lived in St. Martin, and I remembered in 2010, I went to Monaco for a boat show. We were leaving and they were campaigning. By the time 2 weeks we spent, and we came back to new government, and within 3 whatever months, that's what a vote allows you, is to flip the table. Jesus Christ flipped the table in church.
True. I
He
agree.
flipped the table, and you have option to flip that table until somebody does it the way you know it should be done.
True. Miss Sister Gloria, you're very powerful indeed in terms of a comment among the many comments that you made here. You said, "I don't do party, I do Dominica." That is a very, very powerful phrase.
Fundamental. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. This is fundamental. Yeah.
Yeah. Alvin, just before you
Yeah.
come back in, let me just give our listeners, those who have just tuned in, we are talking to Miss Adelaide Paul and our sister Gloria McLawrence. They are having this conversation with us, the power of the importance rather of a vote, and also which will ensure a proper and bright future. And that also is the voice you speaking in terms of your deliberations or your direct action as to how you want your country to go. We have a news outlet following the things that are basically breaking in Dominica on a day-to-day basis. And so we're going to play now just about 4 minutes clip, a clip from that news outlet that has been following things in Dominica, still talking about the sanitized list and the re-registration effort that we've made, that we're talking about. Let's hear that clip now and then ask you guys for your comments. By then that time we should be on the top of the hour, 7 o'clock. Then we'll take a break. But let's play that clip now for your hearing and then for your comments indeed.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Paul, and this is your top story as we delve into the stories that highlight the significance of transparent and equitable elections. We are reminded that the true power of democracy lies in the hands of its people. Let's begin. The integrity of the electoral process is the bedrock of any functioning democracy. In the Commonwealth of Dominica, a nation of 72,000, concerns over the accuracy and legitimacy of the voters list have reached a critical juncture. With a new Registration of Electors Act on the horizon, the time is ripe for decisive action to restore faith in the democratic process. The current proposal to merely reconfirm existing registrations, however well-intentioned, falls drastically short of what is required. A total comprehensive re-registration of all eligible voters is not just preferable. It is the only viable path to ensure a clean, credible voters list that accurately reflects the will of the Dominican people. The current voters list is demonstrably flawed, bloated with over 74,000 names. Despite a population of only 72,000, it is a relic of past negligence, containing the names of deceased individuals and ineligible overseas voters who have long since forfeited their right to vote due to prolonged absence. This discrepancy is not a mere statistical anomaly. It is a glaring indictment of a system that has allowed the voters list to become a tool for potential manipulation rather than a true reflection of the electorate. The incumbent Labour Party government, in power for the past 24 years, has been accused of exploiting this inflated list by mobilizing diaspora voters, raising serious questions about the legitimacy of their continued rule. The proposed reconfirmation process does little to address these fundamental issues. It perpetuates the errors of the past by attempting to salvage a list that is beyond repair. The very mechanism of reconfirmation is suspect, particularly in its handling of overseas voters. Many of these individuals lacking a current residence in Dominica are being asked to select a constituency in which to register arbitrarily. This clearly violates the principle of representation based on residency, a cornerstone of Dominican electoral law. How can a voter meaningfully participate in an election when they are not connected to the community they are ostensibly choosing to represent? This provision opens the door to strategic manipulation and undermines the fairness of the electoral process. Furthermore, the repeated failure of the Electoral Commission to fulfill its statutory duties casts a long shadow over the entire process. Under the existing Registration of Electors Act, the Electoral Commission is mandated to remove deceased individuals from the list annually, based on information provided by the Registrar General of Births and Deaths. This has demonstrably not happened, as evidenced by the inflated voter rolls. This negligence is not merely an administrative oversight. It is a breach of legal duty that has eroded public trust. The responsibility for maintaining an accurate voter roll also rests with individual voters. The existing act clearly outlines the circumstances under which a voter may be removed from the list, including death, prolonged absence exceeding 5 years, disqualification due to legal reasons, successful objections, and change of residence. While the chief elections officer must update the list, voters must also inform the authorities of any changes in their status, particularly regarding residency. This shared responsibility underscores the need for a fresh start, where every voter is re-registered, ensuring their information is accurate and up to date. In conclusion, the case for total re-registration is not merely about administrative efficiency, it is about the very soul of Dominica's democracy. It is about restoring faith in a system that has been eroded by negligence and potential manipulation. A clean break from the past, with a new voters list built on accurate and verified information, is the only way to ensure that elections are a true reflection of the will of the Dominican people. The opportunity presented by the new Registration of Electors Act must not be squandered on half measures. Only through a comprehensive re-registration can Dominica hope to restore integrity to its electoral process and safeguard its democratic future. The time to act is now. Brandon Paul for Charity News TV. Stay tuned for more.
All right, thank you very much. We're basically monitoring things in Dominica and giving their perspective on things. Adi, how can you interpret what was said there by this news outlet? Real situation.
Shalofty, well, essentially, he pretty much said what we've been saying for a very long time. I mean, there is nothing new really that he said that we have not been saying. And I think I will shift my maybe my argument a little bit right now to focus more on the people. Because I think we've had so much talk about electoral reform. We've had, I mean, talk after talk after talk, meetings, sessions, consultations, just name them. And I think at the end of the day, after all is that said and done, you said something so important. Before I continue, I just kind of wanted to acknowledge Gloria. I know Gloria is not feeling well, and this is a sacrifice on Gloria's part to be here.
Yeah, she's under some pressure.
Yes, and I'm gonna say this because I want to focus on the people. I want to just right now really acknowledge Gloria's participation in this forum this evening. It is not easy, Lofty. It is not easy. And this is called Your Vote, Your Vote. And I'm going to just swear away from all of the electoral reform aspect of it. I'm going to talk about people.
Yeah, Adi, let me just interject there 1 minute and to tell Sister Glow. Sister Glow, I'm seeing you sort of really struggling in the back. So if you really have to leave, then we acknowledge that.
We understand. We acknowledge that.
We understand that. So if you really have to, you cannot make it, then that's fine. All right, Sister Glow?
I'll stick around. I'm sticking around. I'm gonna listen anyway. So when I can chip in, I'll chip in.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, but I'll stick around. I mean, I'm here. I'm not going. Adi knows. Unfortunately, every so often I have to run. But when I just exit. But I'm here. I'm staying.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry, Adi.
Not a problem. And it is very commendable. I didn't really. I introduced myself, and I didn't really say much about me. I'm Gloria. Gloria and I do go back a very, very, since childhood. I mean, you talk about like little girls, and we've gone through the whole gamut of life, always in touch. Our paths always cross somewhere. We've been out of Dominica, we reconnected in Florida. I mean, it's just amazing. And so you know that we, in many ways, I think our ideas for life are so intertwined. And I appreciate Gloria being there. What Gloria is doing, Gloria is using her voice, and her voice in her writing, particularly on social media. And while many people may not necessarily out of, again, that fear that people have, sometimes may not respond. A lot of people right now come up to Gloria and tell Gloria, thank you for speaking for us. And we go back to the topic today, your vote, your voice. How important a voice is, Lofty. So important. And for the people on the ground, particularly, people like yourself, Lofty, all the patriots who have, you've sacrificed so much to try to for us to see a better Dominica. And, I had a very long conversation with somebody today who contacted me. I had put a post and they contacted me. I had a very long conversation. And again, we're talking about that voice of the people. And that person also lives in Dominica. And one of the things we spoke about was that future, that voice and that future of Dominicans. Dominicans who are so currently afraid to speak and afraid to act. But they know that there is something better that they need and they feel. And while we fight hard to get in electoral reform, we have to win the hearts of the people. We need to let the people know that this thing that is called a vote, this can literally change your life. It can change your life because every aspect of everything that you do, Gloria mentioned a while ago, the garbage. There's a garbage crisis in Dominica. I remember maybe roughly about 6 months ago, I did a video about the same garbage issue, but it was very personal. And I felt it was something I had to do because my sister in Dominica was being targeted by certain people within that administration. And I did do the video to ask them to back off, but more so, I mentioned the fact that this was a problem all around Dominica. At the time, 6 months ago, it may not have seemed like a true problem around Dominica, but right now, I'm lofty. You listen to any talk show program, Matt's talk show program in the day, and you hear that constant cry for waste management disposal. Something that could have been managed so well, and that is a mess. Like I said, this garbage situation, it creates a health issue. It creates so many terrible issues for the people of Dominica. But how do we fix it? We fix it with somebody who's going to come tell us for another. You know what it is, Lofty. You realize that this is 25 years of the same. 25 years of people telling us that we're going to fix this. We're going to fix the roads. We're going to fix the healthcare system. The healthcare system is the worst than it has ever been. We're going to fix jobs. Where are the jobs? People are leaving the country so frequently because the jobs are not there. We talk about our regular bills, the regular bills, electricity, so mismanaged, water, mismanaged, agriculture, something that could take Dominica to another level, not properly managed. Everything that is done haphazardly. Everything that is done is unplanned. You cannot even run a small business unplanned, much less to run a country without plans. And so they fight for every, I can't even say every 5 years anymore, every 2 years, every 3 years, for somebody to stay in power. And like Gloria said, they say, well, who else? Well, guess what? You don't know what else is going to happen to you until you try. This thing called your vote, where you can go in a place and cast a ballot, and fairly those votes are counted, fairly, because it is done in a way that everybody should be represented. That's why it is everybody's business that you get this system right. So that when you decide, I've had enough of this, I need something different for my children. I need for my children to have a better future. I need for, as I age, to have a healthcare system that can take care of me, that it is done right. And that is why people have to be involved, not just a few people saying we need electoral reform, not just a few people speaking and talking. We need the people to say, this is our sacred thing. This is ours. And when we vote, we make decisions about our future, about our life. Like Gloria said, we get a voice. We get a voice to speak, to say, we like this or we don't like this. And we don't want this that way. We want something different. We need better jobs. We need a justice system that works for everybody, not in isolation. And people have this tendency to think that all of these things happen in isolation. But guess what? It comes around, and every single one of these things is connected by one thing, your vote. Every one of these things is connected by a vote, because a vote makes you determine who makes those decisions to make your life better, Lofty.
Got to find a solution to this pollution. Yeah, got to find a solution to this pollution. Got to find a solution to this pollution.
Yes, folks, it is solution time now.
Oh, ah.
The poor man, I feel it. Yes, Peter Tosh.
Yeah.
We're taking that all important midway break at this time. It's 2 minutes past 7 o'clock.
The poor man feeling, yeah.
And yes, thank you very much to Adelaide Paul and Miss Gloria McLaurin so far. Doing a very good job at the topic at hand tonight. If you want to call into the program, the numbers that are on your screen now, these are the numbers to call into the program. You can add your voice, as Addie and Miss McLaurin keep saying tonight. Add your voice to the conversation.
Yeah, gotta find a solution to this pollution. They're growing, gotta find a solution to this pollution. Whoa, 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 whoa. Gotta find a solution to this pollution. Only the poor man are feeling, yeah. The poor man are feeling, oh, ah.
To all of you here with us tonight, good evening to you in a very special way, all our fans and followers. Thank you for your comments as well thus far. Alvin and I will be going through some of your comments and punching them at our guests tonight for their response.
Black pepper gone up, chicken gone up, and the parents them angry, cause the picnic them hungry, and there has got to be a solution to this pollution right now. Yeah.
To all the folks in Portsmouth at this time, you have two of your own doing battle here tonight. And so far, so good.
We've been waiting for a solution to this.
We are talking about solutions here tonight indeed. Yes, caller, please give me a call in just like 2 minutes when we get back to the live feed, all right?
Yeah. Only them I feel it go on. Only the poor man I feel it, yeah.
All right, let's get back to the live feed. I think we have a caller on this line. Caller, yes, good evening to you. You are onto the Civic Vibes platform. Special welcome.
Yes, Lofty. Thanks for the welcome and good evening to you.
Yes,
Lofty.
good evening, sir.
Lofty, good evening to the two ladies on the program. I got connected a little late, but I'm listening on YouTube. You can hear me, Lofty?
Yes, we are hearing you loud and clear. Continue.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, Lofty. The young lady that just finished contribute there. She said something and I laughed. She said she may not have the voice like my big voice. And when she said that, I laughed because she's powerful, man. What's her name?
Her name, Adelaide Paul.
Yes. Well, I heard in them before, but
we have two
got
powerful
a big
women
voice.
there, Adelaide Paul and Gloria McLaurin. Both are very, very powerful women.
Wonderful. But I called to support something she said, right? And I was my wife ran a store, a little craft store in Tortola, and I saw a guy came in with a Dominica cap, you know, while the tourists came to was walking around, and he started commending Tortola how clean and nice the place is. I felt good. I'm from Dominica, but Lofty, you know, I'm from Dominica. I'm from Tortola as well. For all these years, I'm in Tortola. And Lofty, he started talking about how dirty he saw Lord Jesus, a country with garbage, and he got the Dominica heart, man. I'm in Lofty, and I cannot back off because when you say things like this, people believe you're criticizing the country, but no, because what they were saying before is that we are washing our dirty linen in the public. But when the guy said that, Lofty, it broke my heart because I know he have a Dominica heart, so I didn't want to ask him no further question. Right, let me talk a little bit about the electoral reform thing. Lofty, I have a brother in United States for over 30 years. I've been lamenting about it, Lofty. He is there for over 30 long years. Now, if he decide to come, if that garbage you want to do, if Dominicans allow it to happen, and he come for Fed Quail or 3rd of November, he can just come and reconfirm his name because his name on the voters list. He voted before. Now, if the list have to be completely clean up, or because a total re-registration, he cannot do that. He have to stay Dominica for like 3 months. 3 months?
Yes, stays 3 months consecutively in a constituency. Yes.
Right. So, Lofty, what these people are doing, they are. I want to protect your program, but Lofty, I have already asked Mr. G to put things in place, because Dominicans who are fearless, who do not care whether they die or live for righteousness, will start saying some hard things, And so what I'm seeing there is that these guys are accustomed stealing the elections in that way. So they wanted to be in a way when people come down, they will just reconfirm themselves and they stand in voters list. So this is a crime.
Mr. Caesar, I recognize your voice, and I hope you don't mind me calling your name. Are you telling us here tonight that your brother has been involved in the fraudulent election schemes that we have been talking about tonight?
No. He have not came down from the time he left. But I am saying if they allow that garbage to take place, that thing they want to put for reconfirming or yourself, if you come down, he can leave.
Okay, get your point.
States anytime I come and reconfirm himself. But if there's a total cleansing, he cannot do that. He has to stay skin in Scott said for over about 3 months to re-register.
All right, we get your point. Yes, go on. We get your point, but just wrap up for us, please.
Exactly. So what they're doing and the routine is that they want to continue grabbing the election in this manner. So when people come for carnival, for Fred Curl, for whatever, they reconfirm, and so the people's name will always on the list. My father died about 30-something years. I need to tell you to check whether it's still there. So good night.
What is your father's name?
My father's name is Rhonda Caesar. Rhonda Antoine Caesar.
Rhonda Antoine Caesar. All right. All right, brother. Thank you very much for your call indeed. Let's see if we can facilitate another caller here. Caller, good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, Lofty.
Yes,
good evening to the audience. Good evening to the guests, Gloria and Adi and Alvin.
Good evening.
Lofty, can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. Go right on.
Yeah. Lofty, I think something that people need to be aware of, even beyond the confirmation process that these guys have in mind, is there is a clause in this new set of laws, bro, that allows the Prime Minister to call an election without even implementing the laws that we're making noise about. You understand? That is dangerous. So he can call an election without even making changes to the laws that, that he, and even implementing the laws that he's trying to push forward on the people, and call an election. And that is what these guys are preparing themselves for.
Yes, just to back up a point, there's a 15-month window that the Prime Minister have at his disposal, even whilst going through that process, be confirmation or re-registration, which is what we'd love to happen. The Prime Minister can use that loophole, that legal loophole in the electoral laws, and then boycott like he did in 2019 when Byron was doing the recommendations, and call an election. So you're spot on.
Exactly, and so I'm happy tonight for the voices and the attitude, because this time around, bro, it's not political parties, bro. It is citizenry that have to stand up to stop this. Citizens. And I want to thank the sisters tonight for their passion and the vibes, and tell the people it is going to take each and every one of us, in foreign and at home, to stop this madness. God bless.
All right. God bless. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, guys, you want to chime in based on what you heard? Alvin, you have a comment?
No, I just want to say, though, that I subscribe to all of what Adi says as it relates to the vote and tying it into what's happening. But I think it is very fundamental that we understand and deal with the issue of the electors registry or the list. Because what you will find happening
Alvin, just stick up in there. Let's try to facilitate another caller on the line. Let's give the callers their breaking it. Caller, yes, we have limited time, so make your point very succinct. Thank you very much. Go on.
Yes, Lofty, good night to you, to your listeners, and to the two ladies on the panel. 2 points I want to make very quickly, Lofty. First of all, I'm happy that Mr. Caesar called in before me and explained so well the situation with his brother, and so that we can understand what can happen with others in similar situations to his brother. But what I want to point out here, first of all, is the absolute madness of this list is we keep saying that the list is much larger than the population in Dominica. But first thing, we are not aware of what the actual population is because the census has not been done in so long. Secondly, it's not so important the fact that the numbers are higher than the numbers of people in Dominica, you know. But think about the numbers of persons of voting age, and think about the difference between the numbers of persons of voting age living in Dominica and the numbers on the list. It's a much larger difference. And then finally, I'd just like to say that the job of the government as the body that is conducting the business of the nation, the government is supposed to protect the Constitution and everything that is related to the Constitution in terms of defending the country. Instead of doing that and ensuring that we get good changes to the law, they are the ones fighting things such as fingerprints that are crucial to ensuring that you can identify persons without any doubt. And we're being accused of trying to call people criminals because we are promoting the fingerprint thing. When I live in here in England, doing a job in a nursery where little children go to be educated every day, I have to use my fingerprint to get into that building. A fingerprint. That's how important it is. Yet our Prime Minister says that we're trying to accuse people of being criminals. Thank you for your time, brother.
Thank you very much, my brother, and thank you for your two solid points. Just 1 point in terms I want to plug in here. Just to differ a bit with you, last caller, you said that the government have to protect our constitution. Yes, I do agree they have to play the part, but much more importantly, it is the people of Dominica, you, Alvin, myself, Adi, Sister Glo, and the others who really and truly must come together and protect that all-important constitution in it. Alvin, you're making a point about
I was saying earlier,
and then we have to move across to Adelaide and Gloria so that they can continue on the people's involvement.
I subscribe to that, and what Adi say is spot on. But let us understand, even before we get to go to that poll and exercise that vote that is ours and our voice, if that list is compromised, our vote is diluted. You know what I'm saying? If that list is compromised, our vote is diluted. And let me just draw a quick reference why I'm saying this. In the last general election that was held just recently, here's what the OAS said. The OAS had their eyes and their ears. The Electoral Commission and the Electoral Commission and office do not currently implement systems and operational controls to manage and cleanse the voters list. There are no mechanisms to remove persons who are deceased or who may no longer meet the residency requirement to remain on the list. No unique identifier that can assist in confirming voters' identity, limited information, or deceased voters are limited and their place of residence. There are no provision for periodic verifications of the names on the list. Yeah, what they went on further to say. That was the last election, that was held. During its observation, The mission also noted several cases. They didn't say a few cases. They said several cases where voters with the same or very similar names and other demographic data was included on the voters list posted at the polling station. In one instance, witnessed by an OAS observer, neither the polling station staff nor the party representative were able to conclusively identify which of the names on their list related to a voter who had presented himself at the polling station. That's the OAS making that observation, you know. Standardized identification criteria tools would assist in resolving similar occurrences. So the point I'm trying to make here is that, Lofty, this is so important. And I agree with the comments that Adi made. But if the OAS saying they saw several instances where Loftus Bellot appear, Loftus Durant, and he say, I'm Loftus Durant. And then I come, I say, I'm Loftus Durant somewhere else. Then in so much as we were saying that your vote and your future, your vote is diluted because of that corrupt list. So that is where we have to start. We have to start and ensure that whatever list is used for any elections to be free, fair, and transparent, it has to be a good list.
Yeah, Alvin, thank you very much. You made that point, and we all take that point. It is on board, and that is why, I don't know if you keep noticing, you people out there, I keep calling that list or referring to it as the Holy Grail, because to me, Alvin, once that list, as you said, is contaminated, we can kiss the rest of the process bye-bye.
Everything else is contaminated.
Yeah. But Sister Gloria, are you still there with us?
She maybe step out for a few.
All right, but yeah.
Yes,
all right.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Yes, indeed. All right, Adelaide, I like the point that you were on in that, including the people now to move the process forward. And is on that front, I need to ask you and Sister Gloria to continue on that path in terms of the people's inclusion. For example, Adi, you guys are from the north. Ross left the north and basically left Portsmouth empty. You spoke about it earlier. We have a garbage, not a garbage problem, we have a garbage crisis on our hand. We have a sluggish economy to deal with, whereby ends cannot meet. We have, as well, this mendicancy society. Everybody is just, begging, and sometimes it is not out of their own fault that they're begging. We also have a Dominica where the hope, the Dominican dream, there's no longer a dream. So the hopes, the aspirations of young people in particular, it's like nil to nothing. They have to run away to greener pastures, to St. Kitts, to Antigua, to St. Lucia, to try to make ends meet. So what are we doing in Dominica? What are we not doing rather in Dominica that these other countries are doing? The healthcare is at its lowest ebb. And so the list goes on and on and on. We have a wage problem that price is going up and the wage remains the same. Sometimes the wage even drop because of employers have to cut staff and cut this and cut salaries and just to make these people's, have a job. And so I'm asking you, I'm punching all those things at you guys in terms of some of the ills that we're going through. Put that in perspective now, Adi and Sister Gloria, in terms of the fraudulent elections we have been having. How are these fraudulent elections we have been having contribute to some of these ills I mentioned there and others that the Dominican people we are suffering?
Gloria, do you want to go with this one?
Your mic is muted.
I think
Yes.
take the run for this one.
All right.
I'll keep it with you,
No problem. No problem. Yes. So Lofty, I go back to what Alvin just said with the electoral process and I just read somebody's comment on Facebook that they asked, how can I get my person off of the list, or some person who should not be there off of the list? And again, we go back to the people involvement in the process. We go back to the people involvement in the process. And if the people realize how important their vote is, how important it is to protect that prized possession that they have, if they understand that vote and that voice they have, that one vote and that one voice they have, should only be one vote and one voice for them to make that decision, I believe that the people would get involved in that electoral process and get involved in a way that they put that pressure on those in authority to make the changes that are so critical. And just as Alvin said, if it's not sanctified, if it's not clean, then all what we're saying and all what we're and all this hope that we have for a better Dominica will just, it won't even matter. It will be irrelevant. So in many instances, this can only happen when the people speak. And I kind of want to add and tie everything in to what I said earlier. Why all of these issues matter. They matter because when we go out there and the people tell those in authority, we do not want this. This is what we want. And they go in large numbers. The people in authority, they stop and they listen. Let me give an example. Last week, Monday, the entire country rallied around no bail. That was the shout. No bail, no bail. And everybody got involved. Whether it was you supported the Labour Party, you supported the Workers' Party, you supported the Freedom Party, the UPP Party, no party, everybody got involved. Everybody thought that this justice should be done. Because not only that 2 people were brutally murdered, but you almost deprived an entire community of something that gave them a daily bread. And so they organized well, and they got involved, and everybody else got on board, and people spoke up, and we saw changes happen. And whether eventually, we don't know what the future holds, but something happened. They listened. The people in authority listen to us when we come together and we demand and we stand up. And that's why I want to, everything is so tied in together. That voice, that vote, that future, if the people realize how imperative it is that they make those decisions to improve their lives. You asked about Portsmouth. Yes, this place is dear to my heart. The place where I see the world of potential. Oh my God, this country, Dominica still has a world of potential. Dominica is like I hate to use that terminology, but it's like a virgin waiting to be explored because it has so been underdeveloped. And so there is so much possibility. There is so much potential. A place like Portsmouth where we could have had so much happening where many people feel that they're bound to some party, some system that they can't break themselves free of, Lofty. We had a system in Portsmouth where we had a medical school where so many people got their daily bread. Things were happening. People were employed. It left. What did it? It left a barren town. And today I was doing, not even just today, but I look at so many things that are happening in the world and the way that technology has advanced and transformed so many things. And a place like Portsmouth, we have a location in Picard where we had a medical school. We had a medical school. We could have, if we had the proper people in place, and again, that's why your vote matters. These people could have tapped into.
And it's a medical school that was there for almost 40 years. You need to qualify that.
Yes.
It wasn't just a medical school that was there for 5-10 years, 40 years.
And Alvin, at one point, we looked at 1,500 medical students on the ground. There were people in every area of Dominica coming and invest in Portsmouth. They were buying land. They were building. You couldn't even buy land over there anymore because it had gotten so expensive because things were happening. People were opening supermarkets, restaurants. We have a private school. Gloria can tell you about this one that shut down, not because the school wasn't good, but because people didn't have the income to pay the school fees, and so it had to shut down. We have a place in Portsmouth where everybody is dependent on the government. There are people who get free apartments. Let me give you an example. But yesterday, a friend called my mom, and she was talking about this lady. That lady almost 70 years old. 70 years old. Got a 3-bedroom apartment, free apartment. Only has to pay light and water. And she could not even manage to keep the apartment. At that age, she had to think about migrating to another island. You hear me? So all these things that they think that, oh, well, we're going to get this and we're going to get that. If we had this opportunity, if we had our vote to vote for something different, probably somebody who had better ideas, better vision could make it happen without saying, oh, yes, I will, and nothing happens. You kill an entire town that was so productive. There's so many things we could invest in and make that town such a mecca of people wanting to come back there. Health tourism is such a dynamic field. I was telling to somebody yesterday, and that was kind of funny. I go to the gym, and I went to the gym yesterday, and I'm at the gym, and I'm looking around me, Lofty, and looking around me, and I felt kind of out of place because if anybody knows me and they know my mom, they know that my mom was well endowed, and all her girls are well endowed, and so I look around, and I am seeing all these 8-figure bottles and these, everybody right now is like these big things, and I'm like, I started wondering. I kind of laughed to myself, but I said this to say, I'm not criticizing anybody, because everybody has a right to make whatever decision they want for themselves. I would say out of 10 women, 8 of these women have all these added stuff to their bodies, and I can guarantee you that out of these 8 women, maybe 6 of these women have gone out of the United States to get this type of surgery. The point I'm making is that is how lucrative of an industry that this cosmetic surgery. There are places like the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, even Antigua right now is tapping into that. Dominic, people from our town in Portsmouth leave Portsmouth, and they go to St. Kitts. Within 6 months, they buy a car. They have enough money, send home how many things, send home cars within a year, sorry. And we can't even achieve that in our own little place that we love so much.
So Adi, having said all that, would you contribute that and more to the fraudulent elections we have been having?
Absolutely, Lofty. Okay. Absolutely. Again, we know that those lists were tainted. I know of people from the town of Portsmouth. We didn't need labor in Portsmouth. We know that. They came down. They were given tickets. I know. And when they got to Portsmouth, they took them to Lapland, Cassie Bruce, all these places, Kalinago territory, for them to vote on. They gave them names and they voted. And they can only do that on a list that is not cleansed. And that whole thing, we do not need people to come. We need to clean out the whole list and start re-registration from scratch. That is what we need. A clean, re-registered voters list. You cannot deprive people of their right, their voice, their vote, because you want to stay in power. This is insane. You can't force yourself on people every single election by depriving them of the right, their God-given right. You've already taken their passports away from them. You've already given their birthright to people to hawk all around the world and make billions that they're not even benefiting from. You still want to take away that one power they have there, that vote in a list that is totally tainted, absolutely tainted, and not re-register everybody. That's why the people must get involved and tell this government, we want our vote back. We want our vote back. And by that, we need to cleanse that list, and we need proper electoral reform so we can make decisions. We can make decisions for ourselves and our children in the future.
True. Sister Gloria, Adi has basically lit a fire here. Do you have a fire engine?
Yes. And the thing is, both Adi and Alvin speak about Ross, but the thing is that Ross also, a key thing for me is that Ross basically started Hurricane David time.
So,
Because my mom house students. So I know Hurricane David time. What was that again? How many years back then? Because I'm not so very good in maths. But if you go back to what, 40 years more, hey, Hurricane David, you know, we used to still go to Pesos on Chipping, walking on Chipping Alley. Right now they have paved roads. The other day I was driving so fast, I thought it was a highway and like school was closed, but flying down the hill after 5. I checking boy, what? Speeding down that the real hillway from Fierces. And I'm like, that's when Ross came. Our speed was dust. When we used to jam our foot on the speed to make dust. Do you remember those days? So those behind us would get our dust. You remember those days, fun days from school?
Yes, I remember,
And
absolutely.
then fast forward to Hurricane Mary, and you tell me Ross had Boche, when they call hurricanes and bad weather, Portsmouth Picard, we had fresh drinking water, clean water, sometimes throughout until the last minute. We had electricity when everybody else didn't have electricity. We had electricity because of Ross. Because of Ross. And the thing is, the funny thing is, Portsmouth laborites, all you know me, and I know all you. And all you know I'm not lying, because all you like to come to my post and talk. And I like that when all you come. For all you look at me, please, okay, I can take it. And it's my backbone, okay? But the thing is, you all speak it all the time. Or they bringing people to come and put people on our back. All you saying it. All you know it. And all you just afraid to say it. A lot of all you're ashamed to speak the truth. Because you feel cornered. I wouldn't want them to take my house from me. I wouldn't want to be living in fear like that. I don't want to live in fear. That if they hear me, so you can tell me, because all you know I always talking. But I've been down that pathway of feeling ashamed. And I think sometimes if we do not take that thing off our backs, dust ourselves off properly, we're not going anywhere. And they'll never clean that list, and we'll stay there and moan. They're bringing people to put people. People have been saying, this is where Adi and I have a little talk show that is called Courtesy, Kitchen Table Conversations. And I said it's a courtesy to Dominica. And the KTC, so courtesy to Dominica. And the thing is, I got that from speaking with laborites. Laborites will tell me, not this time, no, especially in Glanville. You all know it. All you keep saying it behind all you closed doors and to people you feel comfortable. And I'm not selling anybody out because I'm not calling any names. I don't have time for that. Fact is, you know it. You know the list needs to be closed. I remembered one election, a couple of people came down and they were quite comfortable to say that they voted in Portsmouth and then moved to St. Joe to vote. And I checking like, really? But they were comfortable to say it, that they voted in Portsmouth, and no law, no constitution. Who's Gloria to say anything that they're going to listen to me? Because the police not doing their job really. And not all of them, by the way, but we know how it is. You have the police and the police. So what do you think? The list is never going to get cleaned. And the one way people always say, well, how are we going to change things and what? Well, let me tell you something. If you know there's an issue, it's change, you have to change it. You must make that change. And people are afraid of going to say, you know what? I don't like UW, but I'm going to vote them to teach them a lesson, to teach labor a lesson, because I'm a laborite. So I go in to teach them a lesson and I go to vote, because that's what your vote will do. It will make them respect you. Show them, I know I can change you. I know my rights. I know I can go. And you know what? There are people who are there and is going to support me that you can't come and take my house from you, madman. But you can't take my house for in a bus. Use the word boss, but I is the boss of my home. And you have to have that attitude that I know my rights. You didn't give me that house, partner. Well, you in government, so looking like it's you giving it to us. But no, it's other people, foreigners. And 2 weeks ago, I was in the Carib territory, Kalinago territory, and I went by this little lady there, you know. I saw her sitting down, and as with me, I would stop and talk to them and so on. So she invited me to her home. So I said, what? The government give you a nice house, man. She told me, the government didn't give me a house. So I said, what? She said, the government give me a house. And I was like, okay. And then she went to tell me, show me her little son, and she told me, look, the UN people think on a house is they that give a house. And education is important in that solution to the problem, because that's the song you played. A solution to, what's it again? Solution. You need a solution to the problem. Well, we need a solution. And people always quick to tell you, well, what is the solution? The solution is sticking to the truth. Understand that you have a voice. Understanding that you have a reason to need to for change. Understand that your vote matters for not just you, but your children. And the one way we can do this is by starting to say, making demands of your government. We need that list clean. Because we don't want you to keep coming and put somebody on our backs. And it's labor rights telling you that. Poto, the lady tell me she's a Poto labor right, but she voted for Annette. And you know why? Because Annette did the right thing. She's educating the people. They need to know the truth. They need to know why they're doing it. And they need somebody to encourage them forward.
Yeah, true.
And cleansing the list is key
Top priority.
to doing it.
Yeah,
Indeed.
absolutely.
All right, Alvin, we're going to go to the live feed in the next 7 minutes there, but yeah, you can come in now with some comments whilst I monitor that live
No,
feed.
absolutely, absolutely. It has to start from the list, people. It can't start anywhere else. A bad list is bad results. You know, it's like, as they say in computer lingo, G in G out, garbage in, garbage out.
Let's take a call, Alvin.
Sure.
Stick up in. Sorry about that. Caller, yes, good evening to on. You are on.
Yes, Lofty. I just want to address something very quickly that came to mind based on Gloria's observations. The building of hundreds and maybe thousands of apartment buildings that are being given away to persons for free by the government is a reason for analysis by these very persons and by others in Dominica, so as to determine whether or not these decisions are the best decisions being made by the government and whether or not they should change the government. Now, people getting houses for free, that's great. But if you look at the way that housing was dealt with before this government, this administration, where under Patrick John, under the Freedom Party, and under the UWP, plots of land were given, small dwelling homes were built, and persons were required to pay small amounts towards these buildings for them to eventually own them, get their certificate of title, and be able to utilize that land, their own land and their own property, to move forward in life. They were also able to expand on them, add to them, and so on. Whereas now, if we have to analyze the thousands of apartments that are being built, and the persons, nobody seems to be getting a certificate of title. So everybody's afraid to speak out. Everybody's afraid to challenge the government. And what will happen in a few years' time when these buildings start to suffer degradation as a result of our weather, our rainfall, and so on, and they start to become like the apartments in Bath Estate and the apartments in Emsall that are collapsing, and people are still living in them, but the government is not touching them to repair them. You're going to end up with hundreds of buildings that are owned by this government, in which people are living, but they're living in misery because they cannot afford to repair those buildings, and neither will they ever own them. So this is a perfect example of something that we can analyze as Dominicans and make decisions as to how we want to place our votes. And the fixing of the list is very important in ensuring that we can do that and do that properly and fairly.
All right, caller.
Thanks
Thank
again
you.
for your
Thank
time.
you very, very much indeed for your points raised here. Let's see if we can just take a voice note here before we get back to Alvin's for his comments, to continue on his comments.
See, I did not even remember the great Alvin, but I listened to him and he's so correct. Lofty, my name is Anthony Caesar. There's another Anthony Caesar in Scott said both of us need vote as least. And Lofty, let me talk for myself. If Anthony Caesar, the other Anthony Caesar is away or passed away, I can vote in a polling station where his name is, because all the names in the same polling stations. And I can go back and say, my name is Anthony Caesar, and once in them there, I vote again. That thing need to clean up. We need voter ID with everything on it, Mark. Lofty.
All right. A voice noter, thank you very much. We need a proper voter's ID card and the list that the person alluded to. Alvin, you're making some points. It's quarter to the hour. We have to start to, sort of bring in some points.
Certainly. No, I think just to say, and I think both Gloria and Adi dealt with it adequately, the whole question of the demise of Ross. I mean, that in itself was a travesty. I mean, not only Ross was supportive of Portsmouth, but we know Ross was contribution to the whole economy of Dominica. And having had an institution of that significance with us for over 40 years, and to have just disappeared like that, clearly it deals with just what Adi's saying, that your vote matters. If you vote the wrong people in office, then obviously you're going to have the bad results, and that is, but it starts again with, like, as I said, the list. If the list is corrupt, then the end result will be corrupt. And she's absolutely right. The people have to get engaged. The people have to do something about it.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Alvin. Ladies, you guys are from the north. Marshall Lawrence is asking an all-important question here. Why is it that he has Portsmouth is still a stronghold of this Labour Party when it is diluted, when it is a diluted Labour Party? That is his assertion here. Can you guys, help him out? Why do you think that Labour Party, whatever it is, whatever is left of it, diluted or not, still has a stronghold on the people in the north, in particular Portsmouth? You guys are from down there, or up there rather.
Up there, I think the people are living in fear. I think the people are living in denial. I think the people, a lot of them have a level of, I mean, you remember back in the day when you come home, people tell you mal to buy. Because you want to come home to your country to live and work and enjoy the fresh air and fresh water and the cool living. And they tell you mal to buy. Liberals can't tell you that anymore. They can't tell you that anymore. They can't watch you tell you mal to buy. They can't even give you mepo anymore. They'll give you mepo, but they'll feel bad. I've had that experience. They'll give you mepo, but they'll feel bad because they know what you speak is the truth. And I think people live in a bit of shame. They've been shamed so many times. I mean, you've been promised and you've been promised and you've been promised, and the promises never come through. You hold true to your end. You're still voting, you're still supporting, but you're supporting in vain. And you realize you're supporting in vain. And that turns into a level of shame where you're embarrassed so badly, you don't know what to do. So you stay. And then they come now. The new thing for Labour is they bring in hope. After 40 years, they bring it up. Papa Boji. I mean, it haven't got a Kai so yet, Papa Boji. I mean, I know they say roll your rosary, but it have to have what's in Papa Boji come. Because how do you keep on loving and loving and loving and you're not getting? Partner tell me one time, don't fall in love. I tell you, madman, me fall in love, I grown in love. By giving you, you're giving me. We balancing, we meeting each other. It's a halfway deal, Gasa. It's a halfway deal. I not falling in love, you madman. From the bust my head, I put you already. Awa. And that's the problem.
Alvin smiling,
A
boy,
black,
Gloria.
a
Alvin
black man
smiling.
come there. No, but the thing is, a black man came, and a black man tell you, that black man there, he ugly. But they have the same black skin. They have the same flaring nose. They have the same thick lips. That's what Labour tried to tell you at one point. They're not voting for Linton because he ugly. Nowadays, when you look at Scary, and I'm sorry to maybe go where we don't want to go, but we have to keep to the soul of the matter. Because we have lost who we are as a people. And that pride we used to have, we've lost it. Somebody's taken our dignity and just smashed it in front of us. And that shamefulness is what is stopping us from doing what is right. And I know what it is to feel shame, to feel ashamed, and you have to bow your head. And you really don't want nobody to see you because you glory and you can be in the darkest car, they will see his glory that in that car. So you know what you miss. And when you've been dipped into the mud so much, with so many empty promises, and you all in red, man, or whatever color you put to support. And then the 5 years they promise you, you're still there because nothing is moving in Portsmouth. Not even the freaking garbage is moving in Portsmouth, people. Not even the garbage. They don't care to move it. It's a mad woman like me alone that will come, and then they pass on my window and talk about, oh, you're always on Facebook. Well, you have to be always on Facebook to know you're always on Facebook. But the fact is, I'm on Facebook talking about the garbage because guess what? When I run my mouth about the garbage, something happens. Or they send somebody to give me a mapui. But something will happen. The thing is, we're stuck in a shameful state in Dominica because of so many empty promises. And you bash everybody and their mother that wasn't following your way. You bashed everybody. You tried to put them faces in the mud. And they are the ones that are okay in Dominica. Not those with Christmas ham pass under my window that I don't get every ham partner. I'm not in the ham list. We talking about list, right, Alvin? My name not on the list to get a ham.
Your name not on the list.
My name cannot be on the list, partner. But of course,
yes,
that's okay.
Yes.
But my thing is, if we're talking about lists and cleaning up things, we have to start with cleaning our own consciences. Make peace with yourself. Unless you make peace with yourself, you can't make peace with nobody else, and you can't see the straightforwardness of things. You cannot see the truth of things. They will constantly have you on a string. And that is what Labour is good at doing, keeping its people on a string. And even though you see it and you know it, because they know the truth, they speak about it. I've spoken to women profusely sweating alcohol because they're so depressed. They just, and give it another shot. And I'm like, wow. And you have a job, you have a job to go to, but it coming late. And so it's hard on them. It's hard on Dominicans. It's not just all them, it's all of us. Because we all have to work triple. But it's okay. It's okay to stay true to you. because you know the truth. You know the list has to be cleansed so we can have a better life. So your children, I mean, hey, right now, even sporting events is almost like a campaign thing. And I know they're going to hate me to say it, but it's true. Because the padre. Okay, fine. Fine that the padre is a sponsor. And I'm happy for that. And she's doing some things. Don't get me wrong. She's doing some things. She's motivating the youth. But where is the thing where the community used to be able to give? And I mean, we as the parents will try to give, but and cleansing the list will do that.
True. All right. Thank you very much, Gloria. Points well made indeed. We have to take some comments from the live feed. Let me just delete one. I don't know if Alvin can get one or two more. It's already 8 minutes to the hour of 8 o'clock. We have to bring it to a wrap in like 8 minutes time. Dorival Drygo writes here, I have suggested that Dominicans wake up and deal with reality in regards to the voters list situation. He presents here. I sent my mother's and brother's death certificate, that is 2020 and 2031, requesting that they be removed from the Grand Bay voters list. And he continues here by writing, when I last checked, their names were still there. He says, go figure, something is wrong, folks. I left home since 1982. I do not meet the residency requirement. Therefore, I requested that my name be removed, and that name, he said, it is still there also. He ends by saying, riddle me these patriots, meaning let the math do some math in the addy. Can you try to, yes.
That's 3 votes.
3 votes right there.
The math is not mathing. According to Signal Band, the math is not mathing at all, and it will never math until we have a complete re-registration of voters, Lofty. That is when the math will math. And unfortunately, you know, we're going to have all these different issues until we get true electoral reform where people can actually go and vote. And I mean, I just to kind of, you know, even add to what Gloria said earlier, she's in the town, and this, she is the best person to speak. She speaks to people all the time. But you ask why after how many years? I mean, I grew up in that constant, we born labor and we'll die labor. And I thought one time it was it's just so tacky. But I think people really truly believe this phrase, we born labor, we will die labor. I am a person, I live with a lot of hope though, Lofty. And I have to be hopeful. I oftentimes hear people say, oh, yourself, you know, so long you don't give up on that yet. And many people, you know, we were in the fight together. Many people say, me, so long I give up on that. And I know that given the way that things go in life, these kinds of fights don't happen overnight, you know, Lofty. It takes a lot of longevity. Look at how long Assad took before he fell. We're talking about 25 years of hard labor. 25 years. This year, this end of this month, people, they're not even talking about it. That's what we should be saying. We should call it 25 years of hard labor on Dominicans. 25 years, 2000 to 2025. You know what? 2000 to 2025, 25 years of hard labor. My son is 25 years old. I looked at my son as a baby to a young, independent man. That's a whole lifetime, a whole generation, Lofty. And that's what people have known for 25 long, hard, arduous years of labor just hammering down. And you want to tell me they want to go around Dominica? No. Talking about hope? Hope of what? The other day there was a big gaffe, they said, because the Prime Minister's wife put a thing about let's make our toilet powder rooms. This day and age, we went through a whole crisis of pit latrines to proper flushing toilets. You did that until you were able to give people apartments where these people should own homes. They should have titles to these homes. And you're talking about hope? What kind of hope? What kind of hope are we going to give these people? But like Gloria said, I speak to a lot of people in Portsmouth and other Dominicans. I speak to people up here who supported the Labour Party. Many people, they're feeling And there is no better way to react than when you feel. People can talk, but when you start feeling, when you see that you don't have enough money to put food on your children's table, you have garbage piling up. It's an eyesore. Not only that it's an eyesore, it can make you and your family sick. It can make you and your family sick to go in a system, a healthcare system where you're not guaranteed to come out of this hospital if you go. So you're scared as hell. You can't even think about doing something better for your family, and you have to eat the kinds of food that you really don't want to eat because there are not enough jobs to allow you to get the proper foods to keep you healthy. And that's why I say nothing is happening in isolation. Every single one of these factors is related.
They are connected.
Yeah, they are connected, and we have to look at this whole electoral reform process as a whole, and
True.
let the people understand that with your vote, with your voice, you can come out and with that voice tell these people we need to get proper electoral reform so we can have free, fair, and equitable elections so that we can make our own decisions and have our own voice, Lofty.
Very, very well said indeed. Sister Glow, I'm going to give you the first the first take at your final comments because we realize the health issue tonight. So do this right now as we're about to, leave your presence and you're about to leave our followers' presence indeed. But thank you very much for your tenacity tonight, your stickability to things tonight in spite of that very, very challenge. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyway, thank you guys for having me on the show tonight. And my words to my people is, don't be afraid of the truth and acting upon it. You already know what you need to do to get the resolution to this situation we have going on in Dominica. We know that we need to clean the list. You know we need to clean the list. You're here, you're feeling it. And unless you make that move and decide and make that demand and says, hey, we need to do this the right way this time. This is 2025. Like Adi said, 25 years later. And give a whole generation. And you need to do something about this to give them real hope. You can't get hope from Labour anymore. This government has no more hope for even themselves. So they can't give you what they don't have. But what you can do is do the right thing and demand that the voters list is cleansed. It's imperative that we do that for Dominica to go forward. Because, Adi said it before. I'm sure Alvin and Lofty said it many times before as well. Dominica has so much more to offer. I mean, recently I just did a course in sustainable agriculture, and it's one of the sexiest things I've done in my life. And they're not telling you about those things. They're making you feel embarrassed about farming still in 2025, while they're doing all of it for themselves. Come on, man. Do the right thing. Demand that the voters list is cleansed. See to it that all the people in your family that has expired, my mother, my father, the persons who have gone in your families, that their names are removed. And let's do this clean. And yes, I know there's a lot of people who feel passionate and they live abroad and they feel they come so often and they feel they have a right to vote. You want to have your cake and eat it too? Do it the right way. That's my word to you. Thank you, guys.
And thank you very much for those words indeed. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presence being here tonight, in spite of. Thank you indeed. Miss Adelaide Paul, your final thoughts, wrapping up that is.
Sure, Lofty. And I just want to thank everybody for listening this evening, for joining us, for participating, the callers, the messages. Gloria, thank you so much. I know this is a heck of a sacrifice, and kudos to you. You are a soldier, you are a patriot on the ground, and that hopefully will inspire others to speak up. We know you mentioned fear, and there is a lot of that, but the only way we conquer fear is by actually facing it head on. Lofty, the topic tonight was your voice, your vote, your vote, your voice, your future. 25 years of hard labor is a whole generation, a whole young person. I think our young people deserve so much better. That generation deserves so much better. Their future depends on that vote. The future depends on their voice speaking up and saying we've had enough. We want better. Again, you ask the question, why is it that people still are like that? I do believe that the younger generation, I think with all the advances in technology, everything that they see, definitely will inspire them. We cannot stop. We cannot stop speaking. We cannot stop educating. We cannot stop giving inspiration. We cannot stop being a motivational person to others. Just helping, making people see that their lives can be so much better if they have that opportunity to cast that one vote with their voice for a better future, Lofty. And so I'm really hoping that people get more involved in the system and realize that we can have a much better country, a much more prosperous country if we have the opportunity to vote and they get involved in a process where their vote matters, and that is electoral reform. Thank you, Lofty.
All right, Miss Adelaide Paul, better known as Addie, thank you very, very much indeed. What a passionate contribution tonight from you and your sister there, Sister Gloria McLawrence from the North. Brother Alvin Thomas, your final thoughts. We must bring it to a wrap.
Yeah, well, I too would just like to say thanks to Addie and Gloria for a very stimulating conversation this evening. Like I started off, this has no party colors. This is citizenry. This is you speaking up and doing what is right. As I quoted from Albert Einstein, who said that it's not necessarily the person who do evil, but those of us who stand by and say nothing about it. And I think one of the fundamental issues we have moving forward as it relates to our democracy, our elections, is the fact that we have a list with names and persons who may not be entitled to vote in keeping with the Constitution and cast a vote and put in place a government that does not really reflect the wishes of the people. Until we can get this right, and by getting this right, cleanse the list, and even the OAS and CARICOM and the Commonwealth spoke about re-registration. That's what they spoke about. They didn't talk about reconfirmation. And I would say also too, though, it is not rocket science. The other islands in the region have done it. I mean, Antigua did it. Grenada, St. Kitts, Jamaica, all of those countries that I just mentioned have had some element of reforming their list, reforming their electoral processes, making sure that everything is on point. So it is my hope that the message gets across. And as we say, like Gloria said, we all look within yourself. There's a song, I think, that look deep within. I think Hunter that sings that song, loved it. Look deep within. We need to look deep within ourselves this year and do what is right, just for ourselves, but for our country. So again, thank you, ladies. I know you all will be back again. That's not the end of the conversation. The conversation needs to continue. And to all our folks who are still there with us, they normally stay till the end. I want to say to you all, have a good week. Thank you for engaging. We know we were not able to get to all of your comments, but that usually happens when you have two fiery women like that on the panel. Tomorrow is the observation of Martin Luther King Day. And we know what Martin Luther King stood for. He didn't only stood for persons in the United States of America. He stood for justice worldwide. And we know many of us quote him time and time again, make quotes from, repeat quotes from him and stuff like that. So for all of those in the US celebrating, and even those outside the US, I want to say a happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to all of you. Thank you.
Come down to the river, lay down your burden. We gonna wise up. We gonna wake up. We gonna get up. Come on, the mic.
All right, that's the one. Yes, that's the one I want to end with tonight. Yes. It's entitled Vain Thoughts from the brother Nasir Fontaine. Much clearer on this PC here.
Lost in their illusions, were their minds full of confusion, seeking a solution, but they headed to destruction. Lord, Lord,
So, folks, yes, it is 5 minutes past 7 o'clock in Dominica and the rest of the Eastern region.
their minds full of confusion,
That is from Jamaica, Cuba in the north,
looking for
Trinidad in the south. Thank you very much for your eyes and ears each and every time. Those of you further afield listening and locked in, thank you indeed as well.
their life
This was yet another episode of the Civic Vibes program brought to you each and every Sunday from the Civic Vibes team.
their life
Alvin and I, we are mere the presenters,
stood by
but there's a team, a very hard-working team in the back making things happen each and every Sunday. Yes, for you and you and you.
us,
So to that team, we say thank you very much indeed as well.
Lord.
To our guest tonight, Miss Adelaide Paul, Miss Gloria McLawrence, thank you very much, guys. Job well done.
Trapped alone, so
To all of you, the fans, friends, and followers of this program each and every week for making the sacrifice, thank you indeed. We appreciate your listenership each and every time.
seeking a solution.
So see you guys next week Sunday, same time, same place from the 6 o'clock hour. Bye-bye now. We love you.
Trapped in their illusion, were their minds full of confusion, seeking a solution, but they headed it, man, they headed to destruction. Whoa, oh yeah, there are the seas that are cast upon stony places, drifting in their thoughts, seeking rest and finding on. Oh, their eyes shall see, for their minds shall not understand it. Confounded in their ways, signs and wonders they seek from a God in the sky. Lord, 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 they're like the children that run astray. Lord, Lord, and they couldn't seem to find a way back home. Lord, Lord, they're like the wax that is melting before the fire. They seek not the ways of truth, but the doctrines of the scribes and Pharisees. Yeah, lost in their